In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Get set again.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven Ultra Lipo Stick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra Lipo Stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used Ultra Lipo Stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra Lipo Stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra Lipo Stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans and fellow liberty lovers all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I checked again today. It is Wednesday, July the 22nd in the year of our Lord, 2015. And, of course, if you wish to join me and call me live this evening, the toll-free number is 603-835-3224, 603-835-3224. And, a lot going on today. I know I got some Trump news, and I've got some Cruz news, got some Obama administration news, and something about the changing the oath of citizenship for immigrants who want to become new U.S. citizens. This is going to frost many of you out there, I know, but and something that General Clark, remember Wesley Clark? I know a lot of people aren't really liking him at the moment, but yeah, we'll try to get to all that stuff as usual. But first, we have a number of people. Well, if you are calling in, we will get to you in just a second. So hold on, just let me get through this first bit. We have a number of social issues going on right now that a lot of people just. Americans in general, we have the gay marriage thing. We have by the Supreme Court. Many Americans are not happy about that. In fact, this whole notion that the left is telling us, well, the majority of Americans are in favor of it. Actually, they're not. I think a recent poll showed that only 42% of Americans are in favor of it, and that is even a dubious poll number that high. Plus, we have the Planned Parenthood thing now. They always try to tell us that the choice, abortion is really about choice, and that the vast majority of Americans are for choice. Well, when you ask the majority of Americans, and they do poll after poll about, well, do you believe that the life begins at conception or somewhere within that first trimester? And do you believe that we should have late-term abortions? And the vast majority of Americans, in many cases, you're approaching 60 or 70% that say no late-term abortions, that it becomes a human, even if you don't believe at conception, that when there is a viable fetus, in other words, it can survive even with medical attention outside the womb, that's really when it is a human and should not allowed to be aborted. And those numbers kind of fly in the face of what the left keeps trying to tell us, that Americans are just moving forward and we're becoming so enlightened on these social issues. And the point is that whether you're on the right or you're in the middle, an independent or Republican or a conservative, the vast majority of Americans still believe, in the most part, traditional values. Now, I know we have this marriage thing that a lot of millennials are putting off getting married or not getting married at all, and there are a number of different reasons for that as well. And one of the things is cost. It's becoming increasingly expensive to get married. Weddings are not cheap anymore, and people just they say, well, what happens if we end up breaking up? It's easier just to walk away from each other than it is to get a divorce. Which there is some truth to that, unless you have kids involved, and in which case, whether you're married or not, if you have kids involved in a breakup, it's just as messy as if you were divorced. And, we don't... I know that there are a lot of things that are kind of changing, but one of the things that seems to be slow to change, even for a lot of millennials, is in most parts of our society, is this traditional belief system of how society should be structured. And, the left, I'm not going to deny it, the left has made some inroads, with their social utopia type of agenda, but it is nowhere near what they claim. And we see poll after poll, even liberal polls, when they try to, CNN polls and ABC polls and MSN polls, and they try to do these polls to try to say that Americans are all for this stuff, it ends up proving the opposite, that the vast majority of Americans still are not in favor of a good majority of the liberal socialistic agenda. And that's just the way it is. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But we have somebody on the line. 409, you're on the Rod Eccles Show. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Hey, Rod. Ernest Lee here. How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, Rod, wow, I call in and you're on the abortion and on social issues, and I'm like, oh, Ernest, please stay on track, because this particular situation, especially with all of the revelations that have come out in the last 10 days concerning not only Planned Parenthood with the harvesting and selling of the tissues, there's a new revolution every day, or a new revelation, not revolution. Sorry, that's probably where we're headed. But anyway, a new resolution. Just information coming out, and the other studies where the latest figures showing that there in New York City there were more black babies aborted than born. I mean, this is, I don't understand how the people will stand for this or things like this for much longer, which actually brings me to the point of my call. I was calling you about Common Sense 2, the Liberty Pledge, which is a pamphlet or booklet that I've written. It's available. I'm not trying to sell anything. It's available free online at thelibertypledge.com. And, I was speaking to Laura, and I understand, and I hope your family situation, I hope things are stable there. But I was speaking with Laura, and we were talking about interviews and things like this, and she told me to just call in. So I have just called in. So I didn't mean to interrupt your flow, but that's what I did.
Well, you were welcome to call in anytime. I do thank you for calling in. The thing that you touched on blacks being aborted, more being aborted than being born, especially in New York City. Well, we're finding out that that's, in major cities across the country, the number of minority children, black and Hispanics, children that are being aborted versus being born, is coming dangerously close to the break-even point, if you will, if you want to use those terms. And this was all set in motion by the very person who started Planned Parenthood back in the 20th century, one by the name of Margaret Sanger, who was a noted racist and eugenist. She believed that you should control the population of undesirables, and certain undesirables should be weeded out of society altogether. And she was specifically mentioning that not only should whites control the black population, but if they weren't going to be enslaved, that they should be eliminated from the United States altogether. Now, there's no question. This is the kind of stuff that this woman actually wrote. She wrote this, so there's no denying it.
Oh, I understand the history well, and I look at all the things that are going on, all the examples of violence. I mean, I would think that the minorities would be up in arms. I'm referring to things that have been talked and regurgitated several times, but Ferguson and Baltimore and all the situations, and I understand the anger, and I also understand. I mean, I've had my eyes wide open. I'm almost 60 years old, Rod. I grew up between being born in Memphis, Tennessee, and then grew up in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So, my formative years, the 1960s and 1970s, even though I was pretty young in the 60s, I got to see all the change. I was there. I was right in the middle of high school when desegregation came. And, I saw, you talk about classes. In Mississippi, I was in the minority because I was a middle-class kid. And there, all you had was rich white people and poor black people, and middle class almost didn't exist. But so I was kind of at an interesting point. But the original point I was trying to make is I understand that there are things worth standing up and worth fighting for, but my goodness, if you want to get angry, how about the near genocide? You know, you start adding up, there have been more black babies aborted than were killed by a combination of the Klan, any war, any amount of slavery, even the Civil War. You add them all up, and we've aborted more babies than that, black babies, since the early 70s. I mean, that is something that I would think you ought to be up in arms, about as a group. You know, not you, because I know I'm talking to the coolest, most politically incorrect black man on the planet. But I mean, this is the kind of information that, you know, I could see people riding in the streets about demanding, especially when you find out that they're monetizing this. I mean, just how sick is that? They're not only performing partial birth abortions, but they're dissecting these children, these babies, who have no way to defend themselves. And you can't even blame the mothers, because the mothers are knocked out. They're not even aware of what's going on. So,
yeah,
I didn't mean
when you can
off
crush
on that
above,
tangent, but that was the subject what I called.
Yeah, you know, when you can crush above and crush below, so you can keep the torso intact. There's something dubious going on there. And when you have more than, you might be able to dismiss one video. But when you have right now, and the rumor has it that there are more videos with other doctors from Planned Parenthood on these videos basically saying the same thing. But we have released 2 videos with 2 different Planned Parenthood doctors talking about this exact same thing. Now, maybe you can dismiss one as saying, well, you know, they kind of misspoke. But when you have 2 or more, it's kind of like the Acorn thing. You know, when there was a sting with Acorn in voting and other types of fraud going on, you know, maybe one video with one Acorn office, okay, they're a rogue element, sure. But when you start coming out with video after video with different people, well, now you can't dismiss it anymore. Now this is something that has gone into the realm of fact. And now you're going to have to start asking the question, and, did they break any laws? And my understanding is that the DOJ, as it is, because it's under Obama, is going to look into this. But this isn't the last we've heard of this. You know that this story is going to, if Americans really want to end this type of atrocity, that this story is going to carry over into January of 2017 when we inaugurate a new president. And that new president, especially if they're a conservative, they're not going to let this issue go. So even if the Obama administration doesn't get very far, somebody is going to get far with this. And, we may see a number of people who say that they were pro-choice begin to change their attitude. And we may start to see a lot of limitations, not an elimination of abortion, but some limitations on it. You know, the Supreme Court said that, it's a woman's right to be able to have choice. They didn't say that you had the right or choice to do it in a late-term abortion or to do it for harvesting body parts, which is illegal. So now can we put some limitations on this stuff? And, I talk to liberals a lot about pro-choice and pro-abortion issues. And I always say, you know what? I'm willing to compromise. Now, let me be clear. I believe that life begins at conception. No ifs, ands, or buts. It begins at conception. But let's just take a compromise here. Now, medical science currently tells us that, when there is no brain activity, you're brain dead. You're not coming back. You could be in a coma. You're never coming back. You're gone. You're done. You're off to the pearly gates or the gates of hell. You're done. So if brain activity equals life and the possibility and plausibility of life, and if we're going to determine that somebody's end of life is when there is no longer any brain activity, well, wouldn't it be logical to say that when you have brain activity in the fetus, in the womb, that is now a human being because it's now alive? And, I get them all the time when they hem and they haw. Well, you just agreed with me that end of life is end of brain activity. So beginning of life must mean beginning of brain activity. And you cannot take it away. So would you not agree then that if there is brain activity that you're now murdering your child? And some of them might, unwillingly agree, well, if you're going to put it that way, fine. Well, do you know when brain activity begins? Somewhere around the end of the first, beginning of the second trimester. So any type of late-term abortion from the beginning of the second trimester on is murder. Would you not agree with that? And, of course, they would always go back to, well, it's a woman's choice to do with her body. Well, what about the choice and the right of that unborn child to live?
Well, that it's our very first inalienable right from our Creator is the right to life. End of story. I mean, that's case closed. You really don't have to say much more than that. Arguing about when life is and when life begins. I'm like you. I believe it. Life is set in motion at conception, but you will find. I'm not an unreasonable person. Most conservatives are not, and I even understand extenuating circumstances, incest, rape, things. But all of this can be taken care of, like you say, early, because if you can establish and accept that if no brain activity is the end of life, then the beginning of brain activity, that's a good way of putting it. And believe it or not, with that argument, Rod, you pulled me to the point past conception, so to speak. So, you're on the right track. It's a sharp guy. This is why I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. You're a very cerebral individual. But let me, for a second, if you don't mind me hijacking 2 or 3 minutes of your show, let me jump to the base issue here. And the base issue here is that our federal government is completely and totally out of control. Show me anywhere other than the right to life where in the Declaration or in the Constitution, either one, there's any mention that the Supreme Court should have jurisdiction over abortion or over marriage or over so many other things. My base point is our federal government in so many areas that we could spend hours and hours talking about it, they are completely and totally out of control. The Creator made man. Man came to this land. We formed states. The states then formed the federal central government, primarily for the purposes of protection. That was primarily what it was about. But just like the mafia with their protection insurances, now we've got a situation to where, do you see that the federal government, instead of moving, instead of staying where they were in that pecking order, that they have risen all the way to the top, and now they want to have say so over even the creators. So, I'm tired of the tail wagging the dog, and the people of this country are. The power in this country still rests with the people. It's an extremely simple concept, and it's something that a lot of people have lost sight of because they don't see evidence of it anymore. All they see is corruption, waste, abuse, more regulation, more, overreaching the boundaries. And a lot of people argue with me over Article 5 saying they're not paying attention to the Constitution now. Why would any new amendments to the Constitution, no matter where they came from, the way the first 27 that we have amended the Constitution, through the House and Senate 2/3 and then after the state for ratification, or coming from a convention of states, what difference is that going to make? Well, look for the common denominator here as to who has allowed the federal government to get out of control. And you better walk down the hall and look in the mirror if you don't have one handy, because it's me, it's you, it's anybody listening to the show. We, the people, have allowed it to happen. Well, I wrote Common Sense 2, the Liberty Pledge. through my last several years of doing things like the 1,000-mile March for Liberty, where I walked from Memphis, Tennessee to Washington, D.C., the truckers ride, all sorts of different things that I did, I was talking to people. And everybody, I say everybody, the majority of people would quickly agree that the federal government is out of control and it's got to be stopped. And then they'd say, but what are we supposed to do? Because the election cycles aren't working. 2014, evidence of that once again. And so that's why I wrote this piece, Common Sense to the Liberty Pledge. Like the first common sense, it awakes people to a problem. And then it gives you a tool, which is the Liberty Pledge, which is what the pledge is. It's a tool. It's a tool for we the people to use. Is it the only way that can be done? Of course not. But it is a uniting force. Any issues that you have with the federal government, federal overreach, things such as this, the Liberty Pledge isn't the answer, but it's the tool to unlock the answer. There we go, sir. Thank you.
And that is true. It is thank you very much for your call. We're going to be going into a break pretty soon, but let me just sum it up pretty quickly. Ernest, thanks for your call. Call back anytime. And I, too, by the way, look forward to working with all of you guys over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I think we just picked a lot of people's interest here. And unfortunately, can't tell you about it yet, folks. So hang in there. You'll learn about it. It's something great. Just trust me. But the power is in our hands, by the way. We have the choice of creating the type of government and society that we want. And like you said back in 2014, we had the opportunity to get rid of a major obstacle to our freedom, and we reelected, a numbskull by the name of Barack Obama. Unfortunately, that is the that we're going to have to live with it for another year and a half or so. But, it comes up quick, folks. I know we got to survive this year and a half through him, but you have to pay attention to your candidates because in November of 2016, we have the opportunity to begin to reverse everything that we have done to harm ourselves. And that means by electing, more conservative people to higher office, including the presidency of the United States.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
Toll free 603-835-3224 is the number. You are listening to yours truly. Hey, there is another poll done, a Washington Post ABC News poll that coincides with what we were talking about as far as Americans not being comfortable with some of the liberal social changes. And it's quite interesting. Now, this is now keep in mind, as I said, there are polls out there showing that, even liberal polls that are showing that Americans in general and overwhelmingly do not support the direction that we're going as far as social issues are concerned. And here's a poll that from the liberal Washington Post ABC News. Now, the question was, would you describe yourself as comfortable or uncomfortable with the country's overall direction on social issues these days? Now, those that responded and said strongly comfortable, 14%. Sick individuals, yes, but said 14%. Somewhat comfortable, 21%. Those of no opinion, 2%. Now, here is the surprising numbers that even took ABC News by surprise. But we've had all these wonderful wins. How is this possible? ABC News is trying to figure out. Somewhat uncomfortable is equal to somewhat comfortable at 21%, but strongly uncomfortable is 42%. So if you add those two together, you're looking at 63% of being uncomfortable with the direction that we're going, with only 35% that are comfortable. So nearly double the number of Americans are not comfortable as are comfortable. And you know, anytime you get 60% or more in any kind of poll or a vote, you've got an overwhelming majority. And there's nobody's ever argued with that. Well, sometimes you get some liberals that say if it doesn't go their way, well, it's not an overwhelming. It's not 70 or 80%. But no, if you get more than 60%, that is usually generally classified as being an overwhelming majority. And liberals have tried to say that Obama had an overwhelming majority. What did he win by his first? Was it 55% of the vote? His first election, and they were trying. It wasn't 60%, but they're trying to say, well, that's an overwhelming majority. Well, not really, but okay. But if that's the case, and he didn't even hit 60% of the vote, then you have to say that 63 to 65% is an overwhelming majority. Plain and simple. That people just are not comfortable. Now, I understand that, because I always talk about being logical and not being based on feelings, but you have to understand, if people are uncomfortable about something, why are they uncomfortable? Because something doesn't seem right and logical. And it is not logical to abort as many or more babies than are being born. How is that possibly logical? I mean, you're talking about if Planned Parenthood were the Nazis back in World War II, all those doctors would be brought up on war crimes. But now it's peacetime, and we're supposed to say, well, it's a woman's choice. And I have always said before, well, how do you do that? How do you reconcile that? When you even have a bunch of liberals out there saying, well, we need to have, it came about because of, some states have laws that if you murder a pregnant woman, it's a double murder, double homicide. And this was put into place by liberals. And I've always asked the question, well, if you're saying that that's just a tissue mass or a lump of tissue or something, it's not anything but a human being while it's in the womb. And if the mother can actually, just go downtown to Planned Parenthood and end that baby's life, how is it you're going to charge somebody else with murdering that baby in the womb? Well, because the mother wants to keep it. How about, and I've asked this question too, how about if the woman is going to Planned Parenthood to have an abortion, but a drunk driver hits her car and kills her? You're still telling me that's a double homicide. Well, yes. Well, how is it a double homicide when she was just about to get rid of the baby? Well, she didn't do it yet. So the mother can murder, but a drunk driver can't. That's another thing that always gets them. Well, no. Well, yeah. You guys on the left have done this yourself. You're telling us that child in the womb, by law, is a life, is a human being. And you're giving this super right to the mom, edifying the mom to the point of goddess, where the mom gets to decide who lives or dies. That's the power of God. So you're saying it is quite all right that if the mother of the baby decides to end that baby's life, but it is not okay for somebody else to decide to end that baby's life. That's hypocritical. It's illogical. It makes absolutely no sense. And the worst part is that most of you on the left, now there's some of you who don't get it and never will get it, but most of you on the left, you do understand it and you do get it, and yet and still you support this stupid, ridiculous notion, well, I'm for choice. No, that's a bunch of BS. You're not for choice. Let's just put it on the table. You're for murder. You support a form of infanticide, which is a form of murder. That's what you support. You are pro-abortion. Don't give me this bullcrap, well, I'm pro-choice. No, you're pro-abortion. Plain and simple. And I'm done and through trying to go round and round in circles with you leftists on this. I'm going to label you just exactly what you are. You're pro-abortion. You're pro-murder. You're pro-infanticide. Plain and simple. And this is something that Americans are starting to realize, and they're looking at all this stuff with Planned Parenthood and these videos and everything, and a bunch of other stuff, even if it's coming down from the Supreme Court. And we are, as a nation, extremely uncomfortable with the direction that we're going. Just to what? Appease a few, just a few minority types of groups. And when I say minority, I'm not talking skin color. I'm talking minority in everything. So we're supposed to, handle and like this notion that a very small few is going to rule the day and rule over the majority. Now, understand, the Constitution was designed so, yes, the majority could not run roughshod over the minority. But it was also designed just to make sure that the minority, because they were a minority, did not have the opportunity or chance to rule the majority. Because let's face it, our founding fathers came out of a system where the minority ruled the majority. It was called, kings and queens in the court, in the hierarchy, and the ladies and lords. There were few of them, but they got to rule over everybody. The vast majority, the vast majority of the paupers and the general public, the middle and poor class or lower class, if you were to put it in modern day terms. Back then, when you had monarchies and dictatorships, you had the inner circle, the court, if you will, the king and his court, or the queen and her court, ruling over the middle and lower class, which was the vast majority of people in that particular country. So our founding fathers fully understood that they also did not want the minority to be in charge of the majority any more than they wanted the majority to stamp out and stomp on the minority. They felt that everybody should have an equal playing field. Everybody should be construed as being equal under the law and under government representation, plain and simple. So when you do that, you were saying that everybody has an equal chance under the societal guidelines of the Constitution and their individual states. That doesn't mean that you get to ride roughshod because you're a minority person or group and you think that your rights supersede the rights of somebody else's. In this case, let me give you an example. The Christian baker was out in Utah. Your right to get married, whether you're straight or gay, does not supersede that baker, that business owner's ability to believe as they want to believe and hold certain religious views and thus refuse you service. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I mean, and look, I have been pretty consistent about this. I've always said, I don't want, if somebody doesn't want to serve me because I'm black, I don't want to give them my money in the first place. Why would I want to do that? And I'm not going to try to take them to court to force them to do it because what? As I always say, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I'm not changing their mind. In fact, I'm probably cementing and fomenting their hatred towards me if I try to force them to do something they don't want to do. So let me tell you, you're not winning over any Christian bakers or any other Christian business owners out there. In fact, you're solidifying their belief that you're nothing but evil, self-centered, subhuman creatures. They're going to look at you and say, well, and there are a lot of, look, we have in this day, maybe a while ago, before the advent of the internet, certain people or groups or minority groups may have been able to pressure others into at least on the surface coming around. But today we see time and time again, every time this type of case gets coverage of any kind, the coverage goes viral online, and people donate to cover any types of fines or lawsuit judgments. So again, you're not winning. The last time I checked, it was nearly $500,000. The Christian bakers, garnered over $500,000 in donations to pay the $135,000 fine. Yeah, what is Memories Pizza? Was that Tennessee, Kansas, someplace? By the time that campaign was done, they raised almost $1 million for that family business. And stuff like that just keeps going and going and going. You're not winning. And we can see that in this Washington Post ABC poll that Americans are just not buying into this forced notion that we're changing, because they're uncomfortable with it. They don't like it. They don't want it. Plain and simple. And we see that whenever stuff like the Planned Parenthood stuff comes out, it makes people even more comfortable, and it makes them squirm. And I got to tell you, I heard, what was it, yesterday? I think Hannity had some pro-abortion lawyer or something on his program, and the venom that was she was just angry and bristling and shouting at Sean for this second video. She was upset that they shot the second video. She wasn't upset about what the doctors said on these two videos. She was upset that somebody actually took the video. It's kind of like there are people out there right now who are upset, who are not cops, but they're upset with cops being videoed during the course of doing their jobs. This is how this woman was. I think she was a lawyer. She was a pro-abortion lawyer. Now, of course, she says, well, I'm just pro-choice. But she was angry about it. I mean, and these are the kind of people that want to run out and say, well, we need to make a law so you can't do that. Well, why? Because you want to hide the truth? I'm not about hiding the truth. I'm about, as uncomfortable as the truth may be, we need to know the truth. If you've got bad apples in Planned Parenthood, and if that's, if you're telling me that this is not what Planned Parenthood stands for, then Planned Parenthood needs to know who these bad apples are so they can get rid of them. Just as, police departments all across the country, they need to know who their bad cops are so they can get rid of them. But this whole, we shouldn't videotape anybody. We shouldn't secretly tape it. We shouldn't do these videos things because it just puts everybody in a bad light. Well, Then how are you going to catch bad apples sometimes? How are you going to root them out? Government does it all the time. No, government takes secret video and audio tapes when they do their investigations to try to get evidence on people who are doing criminal activity. Well, I don't see a lot of people who get upset with that. They only get upset when private citizens do the same thing. They use the tactics of government and police departments at all levels of government, local, state, and federal. They're using the same tactics, but all of a sudden now that's bad because a private citizen did it, and because they don't have a badge. That's not the way our society was designed to work. It's not. It was designed to work that the people had the power. They were the governed, and they were the governors. The people have the power. That's the way it was supposed to be. You know, the people gave permission for those in government to govern in certain limited capacities. Not to have this overreaching, overruling, monarchist type of ideal that they get to tell us what we can and can't do on a daily basis. That is not what citizen government is all about. And make no mistake about it, this Constitution of ours is designed for citizen government. In other words, the citizens are the government. But we don't have that today. Now, I know there's some people talking about, and I got a story here, I think, from, was it Cruz? I wanted to get to this a little bit later, but it kind of dovetails right now. This whole notion about reining in the Supreme Court in at the national level and federal judges and stuff at all levels. Even Cruz is pushing for retention elections for Supreme Court justices. Now, I think all of this, and I know that there are some out there. There's Ernest mentioned something about Article 5, and I know at my last event. When I was speaking there, I ran into a gentleman who was telling me about the certain movement dealing with Article 5 in trying to amend the Constitution so that we elect all of our federal judges. And I listened to him diligently as I read through the story with what Cruz is talking about here. And I have to, after going through it and mulling through it and reasoning with, and using the reason of our founding fathers, and looking at the destruction of our nation when we change a certain aspect from a republic to what it is today, moving away from what the founders intended, I say that this is a bad idea. Now, some people will say, well, what are you talking about, Rod? I'm talking about, I do believe it was the 17th Amendment that allowed senators to be directly elected by the people instead of appointed by either the governor or their state legislatures. That took the republic out of the republic, because now the states are no longer represented. That was the whole point. You had the People's House. It was called the People's House, House of Representatives, because those were well, back in that day, the gentlemen that were elected by the people to represent the people within their district. The state, because we were a union, not a country with provinces, but a union with a bunch of many countries coming together, kind of like the European Union. This is the United States of America. So the states needed to be represented because in the Constitution it said, well, hey, the states are it. They have the majority of the power, and that's the way the Constitution was written. But in order to have that type of representation, you have to have the people represented, but you also have and the people's interest represented. You also have to have the state's interest represented. And that's why it was originally set forth that senators, because there would be two for each state, would be equally represented on the state level, and then the people would be represented based on the number of people within that state. Of course, the districts, it was based on the number of people in the district. So if you had a larger state with a lot of people, well, the districts land wise would be smaller, but the number of people that they represent would be roughly the same. And so some states would have more representatives than others simply because of their population. So the people's interests were well represented, and the states were equal because all the states were equal. There was no state greater than any other state as far as membership was concerned in the union. So they each had two senators to represent the interest of the state. They were appointed depending on the state, either by the governor or the legislature of that particular state. Well, in the early 20th century, a constitutional amendment took that power away from the states. So now the states were no longer represented. And look what we've gotten. Now, I'm telling you that this type of notion of getting away from what the founders originally intended is not going to be good for our republic as the years go on if we go ahead and adopt this sort of mantra that we need to elect our Supreme Court and our federal judges. Understand that is going to get politicized just like everything else. And those of us that are going to lose would be the people. We're the ones that are going to lose. Plain and simple. We've seen it already with senators. I'm just telling you, it's the same thing that's going to happen. So I have to vehemently disagree with people who want to change that aspect. Do we need to do something in order to change what is happening in our court systems? Absolutely yes. But how do we do it? We do it by electing people who are going to appoint these judges who know what the Constitution is all about and who are going to do the right thing. You got to stop electing people like Obama. You got to stop electing people like Bill Clinton. You got to stop electing people who are moderates and who are liberals and who are wishy-washy and flip-floppy. You can't have another Clinton in there. You can't do, Hillary Clinton and expect to have a conservative, constitutional-loving, original type of thinking judge be appointed to the Supreme Court. You're not going to get that. That's where the power comes from. It comes from you and I, we the voter, who decide that we're not going to have this type of person dictating who or who is not going to be on the Supreme Court or any other court at federal level because we're out there electing the wrong people. You also have to elect the right people in the Senate and in the House. You have to elect the right people at your state legislature level, in your governor's office. You have to elect the right people in your mayor's office, in your city council. You got to elect the right people all over. That's your right as a citizen. That's also your responsibility. But you can't decide that you're going to fundamentally change the way our government was designed and move away from it because we, the people, have elected the wrong people who have then turned around and corrupted our system. Well, the only way to get our system back is by we, the people, to start electing the right people into these specific offices at all levels of government. And then that's how we take our country back. That's how we take our states back. That's how we take our cities back. That's how we take our counties back. That's how we take the federal government back. You can't do it through amendments because you'll only end up screwing things up. They thought they were doing the right thing when they decided to say, well, now senators are going to be elected by the people instead of being appointed by the states. Bad idea. Don't compound it with another one.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here. But then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven Ultra-Lipo Stick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on Ultra-Lipo Stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using Ultra-Lipo Stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra-Lipo Stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used Ultra-Lipo Stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra-Lipo Stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra-Lipo Stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
there's an organization. I don't think that it is still fully functioning and fully active. In fact, I think they've changed their name and their outlook, but their website is still up, and you can learn a lot of good information about ways of getting people that you want elected. It is still a good resource, even if Get Out of Our House is still not completely 100% active. I think they changed their name, their organizational name, and they're focusing on something different. But basically, Go, as it's known as, go.com, GOOOH.com. Will get you to their site, and you can, it still has a lot of information up there about, how to do things, how to get people, the right people elected, to local, state, and federal office. You'd be surprised how simple, not necessarily easy, but how simple it is to actually get people involved and potentially running, at least on a local level, at different for different levels and different offices in local and state government. Now, and I still have to say, because I was asked today. No, folks, I'm not running. I'm not running for any public office. I am not running. But I was asked today if I was running, and when I said no, they're like, well, why not? It's your duty. No, it's my duty to help preserve our Constitution, and I can do that a number of different ways. I don't have to actually try to be elected to a public office in order to do that, to participate in my government and to move it forward. I believe you have to be called to do that. There has to be a calling, and I don't believe that God has called me to run. And if ever the time comes that God does, then I will be ready to do so. But I don't think I have that calling right now. I just don't. I don't feel that. I believe that I would that I serve my community and my nation more effectively behind this mic than I do on the political stump, running around shaking people's hands and giving speeches and trying to be all polished and what have you. And besides, I would never run for national office like congressman or senator or even president, because I don't want to live in D.C. I visited D.C. as a kid, I think twice, and quite frankly, other than this, I've seen the monuments. And they're wonderful, but seeing them once was enough for me. We have pictures of that. The only other reason I'd go there is to visit the Smithsonian, because Smithsonian. I think it was somebody said you could spend 3 months going to the Smithsonian without going to the same exhibit twice. I would continue to go to the Smithsonian. I would love to, but I don't live there. Hell, I don't even, except for the Smithsonian, I don't even want to visit D.C. To tell you the truth, I really do. And that's pretty sad when you don't even want to visit your nation's capital city. I don't want to be. Look, I watch House of Cards. I know how that works. I've seen. Look, all the good people seem to get killed. They get killed off or voted out. Look at Game of Thrones. It seems like all the if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, the last episode, the finale, then it's what, over a month now. Then I'm sorry if this is going to be a spoiler alert. But everybody, one of the favorite characters of everybody who's still alive, it appears to be dead, and everybody was talking about it today, about the possibility that maybe he's not. I don't know. Well, one thing I've learned about Game of Thrones is you can never leave anything out, leave anything to chance. Jon Snow, currently, I do believe, based on the finale, is dead. But we have all the secrecy of him appearing where they do the filming of Game of Thrones, and they're starting to film, and they're not allowed to take pictures of them, and there's a lot of secrecy behind this. So is he really dead? I don't know, but if he is, it continues the shock power of Game of Thrones, because let's face it started with Ned in the very first season, played by Sean Bean, being beheaded, which totally shocked me. But this whole notion that this is what happens in real life, actually. Now, do a lot of politicians actually get really killed or murdered? Or no, not in a real physical sense, but we have a lot of good people that run for that get politically and personally destroyed when they run, especially in a national office, especially today. And yes, some of them do get killed. I mean, some of them are assassinated for whatever various reasons, but most of them are just their character is assassinated. They're still alive. Well, is Gary Hart still alive? Right? There was a decent Democrat. Gotta admit it. Gary Hart was a decent Democrat in the 80s, and he was excoriated. And then, he was on the boat monkey business. Oh, look at Gary Hart. Is he fooling around with a model on this boat called the monkey business? Look at and it's called the monkey business. The boat. How apropos. Gary Hart's a two-timing womanizing, adulterer. He's cheating on his wife, and this is the kind of guy we want for president. No, we can't have him for president. And his character was assassinated, and he was totally, completely, politically killed off. And then, less than a generation later, what did we get? Just one president, because he was running, to oppose George H.W. Bush. And then less than and one president later, one election later, we ended up electing everything even more worse than what they accused Gary Hart of being. So, but Gary Hart was possibly one of the good ones, which is why he was demagogued, and his credibility and his character was assassinated. Bill Clinton, I don't know anybody who really thought Bill Clinton wasn't a slick operator from the very start. Oh yeah, he's the kind of person that we need up here in D.C. is Bill Clinton. And no matter what you did to the guy, no matter what type of evidence you had, he was going to survive. That's why they call him Slick Willie. He's like a Teflon Don. Nothing stuck to him. But Gary Hart, there was maybe he was fooling around, but we know that Bill Clinton did worse. And he not only did he do worse, but he also did some of that in the Oval Office. Now, I would venture to say that I don't think Gary Hart would have done that, what Bill Clinton did in the Oval Office. But, I'm not willing to put myself and my family through that kind of ridiculous over scrutiny. And those people who want to go through that process, more power to them. But and it's not because I have anything to hide. Because, hell, we've all made mistakes in our past, but that's why they're in my past. But I don't think it's something that we need to focus on. And that's exactly what they would do, because they would try to assassinate my character. I mean, look what they're doing to look what they're trying to do to Donald Trump. But Donald Trump has just got this charisma and bold tenacity about him that I don't believe that I have. And he's able to withstand all of this and still march forward without walking anything back. It's an amazing thing. He's kind of like giving it back to those who would try to destroy his character. He's giving it back to them, and he's taking them all apart. And that's kind of interesting and wonderful. Now, again, I'm not endorsing Trump. He's just an interesting enigma right now. How far he goes and how far he takes this is totally up to the Donald. but I think it's an amazing thing, an example of what one can accomplish if, even in this day and age, if they're strong enough to be able to withstand it. And most Americans, unfortunately, aren't strong enough to be able to withstand the. Gary Hart went away. I mean, what has happened to him? He couldn't, and it's it's 10 times worse now than it was on Gary Hart. So I don't know many people that can withstand that, and that's just too bad. That is too bad. I'm sorry, folks. Welcome. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I did check again today. It is Wednesday, hump day, if you will. July the 22nd, in the year of our Lord, 2015. The number that you wish that you can call if you wish to do so to, discuss anything that we're discussing here tonight with me, or to take me to task if you think you can take me on, that's great. Toll free is 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224, especially if you're a liberal. I would like to get your take on the Planned Parenthood stuff. I take it on. Speaking of Gary Hart, by the way, and infidelities and stuff like that. Here's WND.com is reporting, and it was reported. We all know that Ashley Madison got hacked, and somebody, a group or individual has, what is it, 32 million members of Ashley Madison, and I don't, I don't know exactly how many, but 30 million people is a lot, men and women, I guess. But evidently, somebody hacked Ashley Madison, and they got all the names, the addresses, the emails, and a list of their fantasies. And evidently, they have been good to their word, and they released the name of a Massachusetts man. He's the first person to be named. To be a member of Ashley Madison. So the story from WND is, they're saying the 37 million members of Ashley Madison. That's, that's a lot of people willing to commit adultery on their spouse. Now, I would be interested to know how many of the members of Ashley Madison, husband and wives, how many of them, both spouses are members? The other spouse doesn't know it, but let's take couple A, Mark and Mary. I wonder how many couples were Mark and Mary both are members of Ashley Madison. That would be. I'm sure that this group or person who has the 37 million names and identities probably knows the answer to that. But they went ahead and released the name of this one unlucky person to be publicly identified in connection with the recent hack on the popular online adultery site. And Ashley Madison's slogan is, "Life is short, have an affair." I don't agree with the premise or the business model of this site, but evidently, unfortunately, there is a demand for this service, or else they wouldn't be making any money. And that's a sad notion to take to heart. That 37 million people who are potentially married, coupled up, if you were, legitimately coupled up, are willing to go outside of that union for their sexual fulfillment. And understand that, adultery is very devastating to a family. It is not. It is. Well, it is fairly rare for an adulterous affair to come to light and a marriage to remain intact. It's not easy. I mean, that's an ultimate betrayal of trust for a spouse. It really is. Anyway, according to the Enterprise in Brockton, Massachusetts, the local resident's name, profile ID, home address, email address, and a list of fantasies were included in a manifesto message as an example of the information the hackers or hacker had learned. Now, this information is intensely personal. Now, according to the report that was issued by the hacker or hackers, he says, I have only 2 personal interests on this site, the man's profile reads. Making sure that you are comfortable with me should be so fortunate to hold your attention, and making sure I take the role of discretion to an art form. I mean, isn't this why we are here, to be as discreet as possible? Which is probably why he was picked out of the lineup, as it were, and chosen to be exposed. Now, again, I am not advocating Ashley Madison, nor their business model. But I'm also not advocating what these hackers or hacker has done. 2 wrongs don't make a right here. Whether or not you have a website, have people committed adultery even before the internet? Well, of course they have. Have there been networks? Yes, there have. And make no mistake about it. It's not as if Ashley Madison is doing something new. It's just that they're doing it on a national and international. But I don't know how many of these names are international. I have never even actually been to the site. I don't know anything about it other than, what I have heard, both in the lamestream media, the alternate media, and I have known some people that have told me, I don't know if they actually are or were members of Ashley Madison, but, I've had people tell me some information about it. But I haven't ventured over to check it out myself, and I have no intention to. Of course, for me, it wouldn't be adultery since I'm single. Is it? Well, no. Well, you're going to go over. If you're single and you're going over there, then you're causing somebody else to commit an adulterous act, are you not? I would, yeah, and that's just as bad. But in any case, there is that. So, for all of you, and I guess if you're a member and you try to delete your information now, it's too late. It is too. It's kind of like what there have been various madams over the years that have had their little black books confiscated in various ways, and that all those names on the little black book were released. Yes, and we can see isn't that's how Elliot Spritzer. That's how he was tripped up. Spritzer was spritzing himself all over, with a couple of chosen hookers, I guess. I don't know, but it's Spitzer. Yes, Elliot Spitzer. And wasn't, yeah, and he was a Democrat, by the way. And this is look, it doesn't. Yeah, I know that there are Republicans that have been caught cheating and that kind of thing, but it seems to me that the reason why we have sites like Ashley Madison, we have people trying to change the mores of the nation, and why it's coming from the left is because so many of them are getting caught doing, immoral types of things, and they don't want to be thought of as being immoral or thought of doing something wrong. They're trying to do whatever makes them feel good, right? But if you want to, is it AshleyMadison.com? See, I don't even know if with the address. I think it's AshleyMadison.com. And by the way, you spell Ashley with an E-Y rather, so it's ASHLEY. Madison. And Madison is 1D, not 2, not like Madison Avenue, which is really kind of weird. But yeah, there you go, folks. See, I can bring you that kind of strange news too. Speaking of strange news, Windows, Microsoft. This is a Yahoo Tech story, and I was kind of debating if I should even bring this up, but then I thought about, this is starting to get a little uncomfortable. We're going to have to start trying to approach and deal with technology on this level at some point. And we might as well start doing it now, because it's going to take us a while to try to figure this all out, instead of trying to figure it out after it already happens and starts hurting people. Now, you don't want this type of technology actually hurting people. You want it to, it's supposed to be technology that's supposed to be helping and assisting and making our, enriching our lives. But I know that there are tons of movies where this type of technology just goes all wrong. It goes awry. It goes bad. It goes bad for the individual. It goes bad for a country. It goes bad for the entire planet, and for mankind and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to paint that type of picture. But at the same time, it is becoming starkly clear that this type of scenario is no longer long-distance fantasy, but it is reality that is just around the corner. And we're going to need to have some sort of societal, we're in a meeting of the minds and consensus, if you will, on how we proceed forward, and what types of laws or societal pressures or norms are instituted in order to keep human beings safe. And I know some of you are thinking, well, what the hell are you talking about, Rod? Well, as soon as we get back from the break, I'll tell you all about what Microsoft is trying to put forth and give us all. Kind of like Siri, but worse.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
We all have this notion that we like to have our technology communicate with us, talk to us, what have you. We have a number of movies where we now there's also TV shows. I think there's one with humanoid looking robot. Everybody wants a Star Trek Data. I don't know of anybody who wouldn't like to have, I wouldn't say own, but have a Data around, from Star Trek, the Next Generation. This type of android that is very human would definitely excite a lot of human beings, believe it or not. But there were a lot of issues on Star Trek that they had to come to terms with simply because of Data. I mean, there was a couple episodes where I think when Captain Picard had to, try to argue the fact that Data was not a possession, but he was indeed alive. He was a sentient life form or being, and thus he owned himself. Like any other life form, human being or what have you, humanoid. They own basically you own yourself, basically. So they had to do this with data. So we have to try to figure this stuff out before we get to the point where we start having datas and these robots running around that look very human and try to act very human. And it's important because we're starting to get to that point now, and it's kind of scary. And what do I mean? We have Siri, and Siri, with Siri is Siri, I guess. I'm not a huge Apple fan, but I have an iPad, and I don't really. I know people that really use Siri probably have an iPhone, and I know there's all kinds of things you can say to Siri, and she'll respond, appropriately for a lot of that kind of stuff. But I guess Amazon has Alexa. Now, I've never heard of it. I didn't know Amazon had anything like this, but why not? But I guess I have not seen it in action yet, or heard it in action, I should say. But it looks like it's coming to a PC device near you very soon. Microsoft. It looks like Microsoft is about to introduce and let loose Cortana, Cortana. Now, of course, Apple has Siri and Amazon has Alexa, but Cortana lets you talk to your devices as if they were people. And like those two voice-driven interfaces of Siri and Alexa, she can understand what you're saying and respond in a way that feels almost human. But unlike those other virtual entities, Cortana will work across PCs as well as phones. And it will do far more than just retrieve information. Now, Microsoft wants Cortana to be the Alfred to your Batman, as it were, handling your communications, managing your calendar, and attending to your needs as best a computer software program can tend to your needs. But later this month, on July 29th, Microsoft begins releasing the latest version of its operating system. I think it's Microsoft Windows 10. The world's 1.5 billion Windows users will have access to one of the most human-like artificial intelligence interfaces ever made. But Cortana presented a unique challenge to Microsoft developers. How do you imbue a series of bloodless algorithms with a human personality? And so they went and asked people. And this is how they came up with this, I guess. But they got, there have been attempts at these personal assistants. I remember there was what was it called back in the 90s? Fire something. It was a female voice, and I can't remember the name of it now, but it was kind of, it was on your phone. She was a virtual assistant, basically, and Foxfire or something like that. I don't remember, something fire, but anyway. So this is taking that and Siri to another level. So what's next after this is you actually start putting this type of software and artificial intelligence, AI, if you will, into robots, not just your computer. And you start giving your computer more control over your stuff. Home automation, work automation, it can start, just think of HAL from Space Odyssey. Having this computer getting into every aspect of your life and being able to control it at the, hey, Cortana, turn on the lights, and the lights come on. Or Cortana, play soft music for my date. Now, if you're being imbued with human type of characteristics, can Cortana get jealous and decide not to play music? can Cortana, if you say, Cortana, please turn on the shower and set the temperature at, 100 degrees. Can Cortana be mad at you and decide, I'm going to scald you and set the temperature at 120 or higher? Can Cortana, because, she's been corrupted by the global warming theorist, theorists, I should call them. And, she decides, the temperature in your house has been too high for too long in the middle of January, so I'm going to turn off your furnace, and, now you're going to put on some extra jackets or you're going to freeze type of thing. I mean, where do we got to be able to draw the line somewhere? This is, and will government be able to actually get into Cortana or things like Cortana and decide that they want information that Cortana may know? Because evidently, you're probably going to have Cortana everywhere with you in recording your every move and just about everything you say. So will government be able to, subpoena Cortana? So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to start figuring out here as we move ahead further into the 21st century. And even as, we're still in the first half of the 21st century, and look where we're going. Can you imagine by the time we get to the year 2100? All of us alive today probably will not. 99% of us probably will not be around in 2100. Well, I don't know that. Medical advances we very well could be. There was a doctor that I saw something a couple of weeks ago about doing a complete head transplant. Not a brain transplant, but a head. Severing the head, surgical procedure whereby you sever the head from the original body and transplant it as if you're, another organ, and transplanting it onto another body. I'm like, we can really try to do that. I mean, if we're able to do that, then I guess we're probably going to start having to look at, will we be able to grow mindless clones of our own body? I mean, what will it be? Well, you could get a younger version of you, I guess. You just transplant your head onto the. I don't know how that would work, but there's a lot of stuff that science, be it medical science, biological science, or just artificial intelligence science, that is just coming about so fast that we haven't even begun to have discussions about how do we handle this kind of stuff. Remember, just because we can do something, it still begs a question, maybe we can do it, but should we? And I think we're going to have to start having those kind of discussions sooner rather than later, or else we're going to find ourselves in a world of hurt. And, who knows where that could go. And who knows where this could go. By the way, if you are a Sharknado fan, I guess it premieres tonight on the Sci-Fi Channel. I was kind of shocked at Sharknado 2 that they did a Sharknado 2, but I heard nothing about Sharknado 3. But I saw a preview of it, and it's called Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Where are all... Well, that's... It is what it is. If you want to watch that kind of stuff, go right ahead, folks. I'm not going to make fun of you because it is so over the top campy. Who is it? Ian Ziering? I guess he heads the cast for a third time. Now I don't know if I was his character, I'd be like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm just moving to Canada where there cannot be a tornado because it'll all be frozen." Either that or move underground and just say, screw the sharks. Everybody else is in trouble. I wouldn't be out there trying to protect the citizens from another. How are these things forming? I didn't really kind of get that, but okay. You think that global warming people would try to figure out how these shark tornado things are happening, but it's raining sharks. I don't know. Speaking of citizenry, this from the Washington Times, getting back to being a little bit serious here. New citizens of the United States of America can now skip the oath to defend the United States. What? U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services announced yesterday that it will no longer require incoming U.S. citizens to declare that they will bear arms on behalf of the United States as stipulated in the Oath of Allegiance. Well, if you're not going to be willing to defend the nation that you want to become a citizen in, then why do you want to become a citizen? You don't want to participate in its defense, but you want to reap all the rewards and benefits of being a citizen? Look, we got enough stupid green tree-hugging pacifists that are born here. We don't need to import any more. Now, the USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, it said new citizens may include phrases for reasons related to religious training, or if they have a conscientious objection, including the phrase, "I will perform non-combat service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law." You need to be able to defend the land. Conscientious objector. We're not importing conscientious objectors. We shouldn't be. What about Islam, Muslims? They're not going to pledge allegiance to this nation. We know that. So why are we even letting them in and letting them become citizens then? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Either you're going to be willing, like regular. Well, I suppose the reasoning behind it is if you can have natural born citizens who can refuse to serve in the military to protect and defend this country, then why shouldn't you allow immigrants who want to become citizens from opting out of such a requirement as well? And I know this came about because of the baby boomers in the 60s with Vietnam, them wanting to burn their draft cards and move to Canada, and not be responsible to their nation, regardless of whether or not you actually agreed with the war or not in Vietnam, or battle, what have you, the action in Vietnam. That wasn't the point. The point is that this nation, although you're free to do what you want, the freedom is not free. There is a price for it. And you just can't obfuscate that responsibility. Well, it just makes no sense. It is what it is. Hey, by the way, this is this came across, and I didn't realize that there were this many mixed. People out there with mixed marriages. Did you know that there are many celebrities out there who, white celebrities, who have a black spouse? Robert De Niro and Halle Berry are two of the most well-known that have African-American spouses. But there are a bunch of others. Like, I didn't know Matthew McConaughey. I don't keep track of these people, by the way. But the reason why I bring this up is because we have this notion that, we have so many people out there who are trying to separate the races. I mean, divide us. And you've got to, these are celebrities now. And most of these celebrities back who? The Democrat Party. And they back who else? Barack Obama. And yet they're out there, trying to separate and divide us racially. And you have all of these celebrities that are white celebrities that are married to, that have an African American spouse. Like George Lucas is married to a black woman. I didn't know that either. Again, some of these are pretty surprising to me because I don't keep track of, Hollywood and Hollyweird and all that kind of stuff. Or they're, they have a long going or strong relationship with, you got the Kardashians are famous for, dating and marrying black men. Even Robin Thicke is with a black woman, I guess. Paula Patton. I didn't know that either. They started dating when Robin Thicke was only 16 years old, I guess. So, and I think they're going through the divorce now, but that's wasn't that because of Robin's infidelity? In any case, you're talking about Hollyweird. With all of these, celebrities out there that are dating or married to African American spouses, who still allow for this divisiveness in the Democrat Party, and they're Democrats, they're liberal Democrats. I just don't get it. I mean, Captain America, for crying out loud, Chris Evans is. With Naomi Harris, of all people. Captain America is with, he's white. He's with, but I know some people, hey, there's somebody that's really famous. You got Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey. Well, to be fair, Mariah Carey is much like Barack Obama. She's half black. I know a lot of people don't realize that. Mariah Carey's only half white. So I don't know if that counts, but, hey, for Mariah Carey, that counts because her parents are of mixed, race. So, I guess it counts for Nick. But that's probably another bad example like Robin Thicke because they're getting a divorce or have divorce or something. I don't know. But it's hot, but the whole point is that whether or not they're still together or not, at least there was a point where they were together. They got together, and they're liberal Democrats. And the whole point is that they're backing the liberal mantra of divide and conquer the races. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Well, yeah, Wolfgang Puck too, by the way, is dating a African-American woman. Wolfgang Puck, really? Anyway, so they're out there dividing people up in the Democrat Party. And so you got to ask, how is it possible that Hollyweird can be so supportive of liberal? They talk about the lack of gays in major roles in the entertainment industry. Well, who's in charge of the entertainment industry? Liberals. And you're trying to blame other people for this type of behavior from the liberals themselves. Because I always said liberals are the ones, they're pointing the finger at everybody else, but they're the ones that are really the bigoted, out of control, phobic types of people, homophobe, what have you. It's always coming from the left, and they'll always tell you what they really are because they'll be trying to blame somebody else for what they really are. So, look, if you don't have enough gays represented in front of the camera and behind the camera and in the offices, then whose fault is that, considering that Hollyweird is run by a bunch of liberals? You can't complain it's the Republican Party. because they're not the ones running the show. You know, and you constantly hear, well, geez, you know, all we see in Hollywood, you know, it's a bunch of Jews are running everything. Well, the left is complaining that Hollywood is run by a bunch of white Jews. Well, if you're in Hollywood and you're running Hollywood, how can you be complaining against Hollywood? And then blaming somebody else. It's your fault over there, lefties. It's not the right's fault. But look, this is what the right does, the left does all the time, is they want to blame somebody else, anybody else but themselves, for the problems that they foment, the problems that they support, the problems that they create. And then, you know, when things don't go their way, they want to blame somebody else for it. Well, you know what? I'm calling you out. You know, if you guys are going to be dating or married to a different race than you are in Hollywood, then how the hell can you stand there and support the liberal agenda from the Democratic Party and from race baiters like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton? Really, you should be ashamed of yourself, because especially if you're married to, you know, if you're white and you're married to an African American, how insulting is that? I'd be highly insulted and wonder really what you were doing. But then again, I guess the African American in that coupleship is also supporting the same thing. Yeah, really kind of weird. Well, folks, I want to thank you for being here this evening. We are out of time for today, but we will be back here tomorrow live, same time, same back channel, of course, Rod channel. Until then, this has been the Rod Eccles Show. I am Rod Eccles, your lovable host. I'm out.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.